Hockey town, going down to hockey town, whoa, whoa. Hockey town, take me down to hockey town, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hello, hockey fans. The Minnesota Hockey Connection is on the air. We're on the air for the next half hour. I'm Kenny Gallagher along with Jerry Burrow. And today we have a special guest, Pat Heffernan, spokesperson for Hockey Day Duluth. Pat, thank you for coming on the program with us today.
Happy to
thanks,
be here.
Pat.
Thanks for having me.
So we'll ask you right out of the chute, what is your hockey background in Duluth?
Yes. Well, I played growing up. I never was quite to that level to play at the high school, but I grew up in East Duluth. So a little controversial in our house. My home rink was Portman.
Oh, okay.
I now have three little, two squirts and a mite who play for Glen Avon.
Ah,
So just last night, the squirts, in fact, played Glen Avon played Portman.
sure.
And so they're checking to see what hat I'd be wearing and things like that. So anyway,
Well, I know all about those city rivalries.
Oh,
I
yeah.
played at Lower Chester.
it goes deep. It goes
And
deep.
so there is rivalries amongst the local rinks, but we're going to talk about Hockey Day Minnesota. It's a special time for Duluth. We're hosting the 10th annual
Yes.
Hockey Day Minnesota. And if you want any details, go to duluthhockey.com. But Pat, this is pretty exciting.
I would agree. It's going to be a great day. Yeah, the 10th annual. It's just a phenomenal day of hockey that Fox Sports North and the Wild have put together over the years, and really, really exciting.
I would imagine there's a few local people that you want to mention. There's got to be a lot of work that goes into this on the local level as well. We've got to get a hockey rink ready. We've got
Yes.
to get the teams coordinated. We've got to get the stands for the fans, the tickets. It's all there.
Million little things that need to get done
Yeah.
for one big day. You're absolutely right. We have an incredible committee. You know, I've been thinking about it. For one thing, we're meeting a lot these days. In fact, I have a meeting tonight. More and more as the event gets closer. But
Right.
the meeting is consisting of folks from two youth rinks, Glen Avon, which is where my kids are, in Piedmont. We kind of came together, an East and a West rink, to form this committee. And, I looked around at that committee, and it's just a great team. I mean, not that dissimilar from a sport, where you have Andy Ryerson, who
Oh, sure. Former
great
Bulldog.
hockey player as
Oh,
well.
yeah. All right.
A lot of players way better than I was on the committee. But he has expertise in the public relations and advertising, which is so key for Westmoreland Flint, his company. You have Lon Hovland, another legend from Denfeld.
Former pro player.
Yes, he played. Yes, he definitely did. Little Lon, I call him. He's about 6'5", and big guy.
Yeah.
You don't want to meet him in a corner, that's for sure.
Exactly.
But really nice guy.
Yeah.
And Lon's construction company, Hovland, they have been somehow pulling that rink together. You have Tim Doyle, who's just has got his fingers in everything, a great guy he's from a Denfeld guy as well. Jeremy Downs is kind of our main, I guess you'd call it our director, kind of the one point person, and he's an attorney, so he's got all the detail part of it. So it's really been a great group to work with. A lot to do, though, to your point, and it's all come together here, hopefully well. Lot still to do, of course. A few weeks away.
February 6th is the day, the 10th annual Hockey Day Minnesota, Bayfront Festival Park. Eveleth versus Denfeld in the first game at 10 a.m. 1 p.m. Lakeville North and Duluth East, a rematch of last year's Class AA championship game.
Correct. I think I know East has had that game circled on their schedules right from the get-go. Originally, it was going to be indoor game, maybe a little more like the rest of their games, and then that one quickly was of interest to the Wild and Fox as to have on the Hockey Day site. So a couple great high school matchups down there at the Bayfront site, which here in Duluth we know that Bayfront site. It's just going to be an absolute iconic site for that event.
Who picks the teams?
The teams,
Besides Duluth, I mean, the Duluth teams are for sure are going to be there because it's Hockey Day Duluth.
Yep.
I mean, Minnesota.
They always will have that host team. That's how it works. Usually it's one team. The other communities, for instance, Grand Rapids, one team. The Grand Rapids High School obviously played in that. This is, I believe, the first time where there's been two, and we were very forthright with them when we were putting in our proposal. We are doing this with the understanding that both Denfeld and East would be both playing in this. Very,
two
very
public
important.
school teams.
Absolutely. And so then they kind of look at the schedules, and I think typically, and that's how it worked this year, they would look at their schedules and look for a matchup that they liked already on the schedule, depending on kind of the time frame, and then move it to the Hockey Day. So, for instance, I believe East and Lakeville were playing, within a 2-week time frame, and they gave they call the AD and say, hey, would you be interested in playing in hockey? By the time they finish the sentence, they say yes, because it's such a big day.
So this started last summer, really, last spring.
Is that when the committee got going?
Okay, good question. And I think an interesting one. We started the process, I want to say about 2.5 years ago.
Wow.
With our sights set on the 2016 date. And it was kind of one of those things where we put in a decent amount of work. We put in what we hoped was a good proposal. They formalized this process. So you put in a proposal to, it's Fox, the Wild, and Minnesota Hockey. Good Duluth guy, Glenn Andreessen, is running that down in cities. So you put in that proposal. So what happened this year is there is that, and it's kind of funny to talk about these huge games of international interest, but there is that stadium series this year in the NHL.
Right.
So in late February 20-something, down at TCF Bank Stadium in the cities, it'll be the Blackhawks against the Wild. So because of that changed the time frame for Hockey Day this year. Normally they would announce, usually right around the time that Hockey Day is, they announce next year's. In fact, during the broadcast, often they'll say, come back next year. If last year they're in St. Paul, next year we'll be at Duluth. They didn't know how that stadium series was going to play into Hockey Day. I think for a while, perhaps, I'm not positive, but I think they thought that might just be Hockey Day this year at TCF Bank Stadium.
Right.
Long story short, it's so late in February. The boys' teams are already well into their playoffs.
Right.
Not going to work.
Right.
I think the NHL kind of said, we're going to not be doing much else on that ice other than an NHL game. So we didn't hear much, and I don't think they knew what was going on until about May, where we got word, hey, we'd love to come up and see your site if you're still interested in Hockey Day for 2016. We said, ooh, a little less time than we would have hoped, but of course we're still interested. To make a long story, well, probably already a long story, but to make it real brief, they came up, I want to say it was late May, early June even. We met them down at Bayfront, and I'll tell you, their jaws dropped.
And they being?
Fox, mainly Fox and the Wild representatives, yeah, sorry.
What role does the NHL have in this?
I think, it's limited in that the Wild game is part of Hockey Day. Obviously, that game is played where it's played.
Yeah.
But I don't think the NHL has a big role other than, the Wild being an NHL team.
Well, they seem to be promoting it because you can go to NHL.com and find this on their website.
Yeah. Well, and they love it. I mean, it's grassroots, old-time pond hockey, everything about it. But they saw that Bayfront site, and especially the Fox people, because they understand putting on a production, the viewpoints, and just having that iconic lift bridge in the back.
Was there ever talk of putting this on the bay or on a piece of ice other than a rink on Bayfront?
We had a lot of discussions. In fact, going way, way back.
Because that's kind of the early roots of this.
Yep.
Baudette had it on Baudette Bay or whatever it is up there, and so
we did talk about that. In fact, there's that little slip now that development Pier B is going in right next. That was discussed. So the combination of Mother Nature to begin with, of course, and if you're listening, Mother Nature, everyone's hoping for a nice, 25-degree day. Cloud cover would be fine that day for good quality ice. Yeah. But when you're mixing Mother Nature and then the unknown aspects of open water on what we're talking about here, everyone we talk to. And in fact, I think you'd have to get approvals from the clean water folks and things like that, even to have it on the bay.
Sure.
So quickly we realized that wasn't. We did look at other sites, considered other sites, I should say, including, Wade Stadium, Griggs Field, Public School Stadium, the new East High School.
All right.
We kept coming to Bayfront. By far more challenging than those sites because, there's bleachers already at those and things like that. But I think for our committee, the perspective was, if we're doing this, and we want to do it right, and we want to do it at the best possible place, even if it's a lot more work. And, Bayfront, we kept coming back to that as the optimal site, and
and you were kind of jammed up against Bentleyville,
right? Yep.
Because they ended their season the 27th of December, and usually they kind of linger and let that giant Christmas tree stay there for a few weeks or what have you.
Absolutely right.
So they had to get on their teardown right away.
Yes, and they were if I may comment right away, so wonderful and cooperative. I think they saw this as a tremendous opportunity for our community. Bentleyville, I have 3 little kids. It's like magic.
Right.
Such a great thing there, and they are so well organized. You're absolutely right. There's never really any hurry. There's no demand for Bayfront Park in middle of January, early February. So they deconstruct over a nice, comfortable time frame, and this year they did it very, very quickly. One fun story. Nathan Bentley shot me an email and said, the Ironworkers, big hockey fans, and they told me they'd do whatever it took to get that tree down as quickly as they could for you. If you guys would want that. And I said, we've got free tickets for those guys for sure. And but great cooperation there.
Good,
You're absolutely right. It was almost like a handing over of the
Yeah.
keys to the park
Yeah.
because we need to get rolling on that right away because we all know when you're making ice, it can be
And the Duluth East team, I don't know Denfield, but they both helped out and working that.
Absolutely, and it's been a community effort. Making ice and boards. The bleachers went in the other day. I think the glass is going in today, and
Now that's not refrigerated ice.
it is not. It is not. We looked at
So
that.
weather is a huge factor.
There's a huge factor. Mother
Yeah.
Nature, again, if you're listening, people have said, February 6th in Duluth, you have nothing to worry about in terms. The biggest concern is warm, obviously.
Why wasn't it refrigerated? Just to avoid
Expense.
any
Expense, yeah,
Okay.
really. We looked into it, and I don't think you could possibly pull it off under $100,000 for one day of hockey, which we thought was a showstopper. Like for instance, the Stadium Series game at TCF, NHL is involved. There's no
Right, they're
and
gonna have
further, they're
refrigeration.
playing in late February in the Twin Cities. You really can't count on it there. You got pretty high sun by then.
Right.
So we looked at it and said, no, we can't go that route. So we hope it is absolutely not a soul in there, but we have the Heritage as a backup site. We really, really will go to great lengths, and we could potentially put some covers up. It's the sun combined with warm that would really present problems leading up to that date. So we just have our fingers crossed that that won't happen. And we got a great sheet down there, boy. We've had great flooding weather these last few days. So yeah.
I've been to most of the Hockey Day Minnesota sites where during the games and that. And have you talked to some of the other committees on that, what they did and what they did right and they did wrong? And,
We have. Yep. I would say the last 3 or 4 we've had, and they've been so cooperative.
That's good.
And they learn more every year. And the event is getting bigger and bigger every year. Particularly our friends up in Grand Rapids, and Hermantown as well. Elk River was just 2 years ago. Last year's was a little different in St. Paul because it was the Air National Guard. Yep. We did have some contact with them. They suggest vendors. I think they hooked us up with the bleacher company and perhaps the glass, things like that. So it is really in 10 years an event that has gone to a bigger and better level every year just because of the everyone loves the event and likes to see it get better.
How are ticket sales going?
I think really well. We have a committee meeting tonight. A bunch of people said, when you're doing an outdoor event in Duluth, Minnesota, where the weather is always a question mark, don't expect a lot of pre-sales. But I believe we went well in excess of 1,000 pre-sold tickets.
But you're going to try to get 2,000
There's 2,000 will be in the bleachers, and then there'll be plenty of extra spot. It's a natural amphitheater. It's just perfect for it. Natural amphitheater.
So if you know the weather's going to be good for the game, then you're going to start selling extra tickets, correct?
What'll happen is on the site, once we go beyond the Heritage capacity, which is somewhere in the range of 2,000, I believe,
Right.
then the tickets will be for outdoor only. So if it were to go inside, those tickets will be refunded.
Okay. That's
but
good.
yeah, that's
so
how
you can sell them and
exactly.
get them. Okay.
And we, given the number we're at now, we do expect a really good crowd down there, and we're hardy people here. If it's a little chilly, no problem. We'll get bundled up. And
what's the website that people can go to that find tickets?
Yep, DuluthHockey.com. Everything's out there, the schedule, ticket sales, and it can all be done online. So all the good information out there. And I think you will start to see, little teaser here, we have some pretty big fun announcements coming out in this next, I'd say in the next week or so. I think that local hockey fans, especially, including those who've been around for a while, will...
Now, announcements regarding...
Some fun things we're doing that day. Some fun folks will be present.
In addition to the hockey.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
All right.
So what are some of the events that are going to be happening that you know of right now?
Yeah, good question. We want to get as much utilization out of that rink, and it's getting real close here. The big one Thursday, which is really fun. The Duluth high school girls team is playing down there Thursday night. I believe game time 7:30. I think there's a younger girls game before that.
Okay.
But the girls, Duluth High School team made up of the girls playing, coached by Ryan Cool,
No,
among others.
that's the Friday prior to
No, that's
the
this Thursday.
This Thursday.
Yeah.
Oh,
coming up.
this?
Yep.
Oh, my.
Yep.
All
And so
right.
that'll be fun. That'll
And
be
what
kind
time
of-
is that?
I
You
believe
know?
the puck drops for that game at 7:30.
Okay, and then younger girls are playing before that.
Correct.
Good.
And so that'll be a great opportunity to get the rink kind of christened, rolling. Further, the Wild play that night, and I believe it's that night. If not, their next game after that, they're going to show tons of highlights from that game.
I think
'Cause
they
we
do
all
play the
feel-
Kings the next night.
Okay.
They got the Ducks
So-
Wednesday. And
Thank
then-
you. Yep. They everyone felt real bad. What happened this year with Hockey Day being so late
Right.
is that the girls couldn't be a part of it. Normally there'd be a girls game, and
Right.
it kind of is the same as we were talking earlier, where it's too far into their sectional. So we're thrilled that they have an awesome night. We hope to get a good crowd down there. It looks like Mother Nature again. Good night for hockey Thursday night. So great opportunity.
Now, you were at the Wild game about a week ago on Sunday, a little over a week ago. And
Yes.
you called out the Let's Play Hockey.
Yeah, it was thrill of a lifetime.
really?
Yeah. The committee was kind of teasing me because somebody's got to go down and do this hard work for
You
sure,
were,
right?
sure.
Yeah.
Tony Scott?
Joe Scott.
Joe
Scott. Another
Scott.
great committee member. Joe and I and our families. He's got 2 kids and I have 3. So they all had their Piedmont and Glen Avon attire on, and
Oh, that's great.
yeah, we thrill of a lifetime. And they
Yeah.
kind of said after the fact, after we said they said, come on down, we'll put a booth up, we'll show you guys on the big screen. Would you want to do though? Let's play hockey. Sure, why not?
Don't screw it up.
Yeah, exactly. I only have to say a few words. So.
Pat Heffernan, spokesperson for Hockey Day Minnesota-Duluth. February 6th, Bayfront Festival Park, Duluth-Denfeld will host Eveleth in the first game at 10 a.m. and then Lakeville North and Duluth East at 1 o'clock. And we're hoping for weather that cooperates. You've got some great sponsors. I'm looking at this list of sponsors, and these are some heavy hitters you've got lined up.
Yeah, great community partners.
St. Luke's Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, they are kind of at the top of the list, maybe?
They are. They approached us right away. You start from scratch on a project like this in a short amount of time, and quite frankly, the sponsors, couldn't have been more willing. What can we do? A lot of those, you take like a Jamar company, for example. They have the ability to also help us with kind of
Right.
in-kind things down there. Craig Fellman, good
Right.
old hockey name there.
Yeah, Duluth East.
Yep. So a lot of that just supporting us in so many ways, and really the community response. Some companies, didn't have it in their budget, but said, we love it and support you any way we can.
The Friday before Hockey Day Minnesota, February 5th, all the teams come up. They practice 1 hour.
You got it?
Then there's 2 JV teams from the same teams.
Yes.
And so is that free for the public, or is that?
I am not positive, but I
Okay.
think it might be.
But if you can find that
Yep.
out, and
Yep.
we'll put it out on our website. and-
Perfect.
and we'll talk about the next couple of weeks on our show then.
Great. One other thing, I mentioned Thursday, the women's or girls game. Then there's going to be the local rinks will each have kind of a night to spend or a day or night to spend at the rink. So Portman and
Right.
Gary Morgan Park and
Nice.
Duluth Heights, and so they can kind of use it as they see fit, have a practice, or get the kids down there for an open skate. So we really want the community to use it from here to Hockey Day. The few days before Hockey Day, we'll really be tuning the ice in and making sure that sheet is great. But you're right, that Friday there will be the practices.
Well, one of my questions was, after Hockey Day's come and gone, is that rink going to be torn down? Is it going to be left up for a usage of some sort? Or?
It'll have a pretty short window after Hockey Day.
Okay, is there
Sunday,
talk about leaving it there and maybe
it-
doing some other outdoor stuff?
There is.
What about doing this on an annual
Hey, I
basis?
like it, I like
You know, just having a
Let's get through this one
a Duluth
first.
festival.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fantastic idea. Of course, a lot of volunteer time and energy
Yeah.
and dollars, frankly, go into it. And there's a lot of considerations for that. If you're going to have something open like that, obviously it needs to be attended to, and safety measures and things like that. So it won't be too long after that you'll see it kind of be coming down, unfortunately. But I am with you.
Do the boards go someplace?
Oh yeah, great question there. That worked out really well because that could be a big expense. What ended up happening is Piedmont Rink determined they were in need of some boards,
Okay.
so they ended up purchasing those boards and kind of rented it to the committee for less than certainly we would have spent for boards. And then
Great.
after those boards come down, Piedmont will.
Oh, that's
use
working
those.
together.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat. Pat Heffernan, spokesperson for Hockey Day Minnesota, a guest with us today, Hockey Day Minnesota Duluth. And I'm looking at these raffle prizes. Now, when do these raffle prizes get get claimed, if you will.
Yeah, the drawing is on Hockey Day that evening. So there will be, I think, late in the day down at Bayfront, they will be announcing those winners. But yeah, some really good raffles.
I'm just going to run through a few of them
Yeah.
here. Tickets to a Wild Boston game, an XL Energy Suite, 1 year of groceries from Super One Foods,
Yeah.
46-inch flat screen TV, a signed Wild jersey, $500 cash prize. The list goes on and on here. UMD and the Hobie Baker Tradition signed proofs. Tim Cortez signed proofs.
Wow. You did
Signed.
some good art.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, and again, another example of the community coming together. Asked around to build that list there, and there were so many generous donations there. But yeah, wonderful. All the rinks are selling those raffle tickets. Each of the local rinks, and they're kind of for sale at some different locations around the city. So great opportunity there.
I know your committee is running around with your heads cut off because you got your families, you got your regular jobs and that. And I
We
don't know
got to
how
flood
you
our
do
rinks
it.
too.
But what are some of the biggest challenges so far that you're going through?
I think it's the one day. So we haven't done this before. We relied on those folks who have done it before. That's a big one, and probably just the condensed time frame. It's back to that. It's a million little things. Tonight, for example, our committee we were challenged with everyone think of things that could go wrong. We get a foot and a half of snow during
All
those
the
types
backups,
of-
options.
all those types of things. So it's hard to say, kind of the bigger picture would be the way I'd answer that. But thankfully, we have a diverse committee with a lot of different perspectives and strengths and experiences to hopefully try to think of those things. But there'll be some glitches, and
Right.
that's part of an event.
Geez, we're getting close. We're 2
Yes,
weeks
we
away
are.
from this
Right.
Saturday. Again, Hockey Day Minnesota Duluth, Saturday, February 6th, Bayfront Festival Park. And Pat Heffernan, and your father, by the way, is
Yes.
Jim Heffernan. And a lot of people remember Jim from the Duluth News Tribune days.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
From dear old Denfeld, no less. I went to
Oh,
East, he
yeah,
went
yeah.
to Denfeld.
Okay,
so
all
we
right.
speak and everything.
There's a lot of cost that goes for this. I mean, I know Fox Sports North. I mean, they're saying how much money it costs just to produce this.
Right.
And but there are all the other things. But let's say everything just goes perfect and you make some money. Mm-hmm. What would you do with that money?
Yeah, good question. It'll all benefit youth hockey in Duluth. So again, Glen Avon and Piedmont are the two rinks behind it. So there would be dollars that would go to those rinks as well. Dollars would be distributed to Daha, and all of the local rinks would benefit from that. And that certainly is the hope. I mean,
Right.
we keep saying, part of the reason why you saw our kids at when we said, let's play hockey, they asked just us to do it. And we said we've always said this is about the kids.
Yeah.
And so if we can give a boost to youth hockey in Duluth and get more people out there having fun, enjoying the wonderful game, and building those teamwork and work ethic and things like that through this, that'd be the legacy we'd want from this event, and just a great day down there too.
Well, I think we're the only city that has youth hockey rinks where they play games and everything.
You are correct. We've kind of taken the outdoor hockey capital of the United States name. No one else has claimed it, so why not claim it?
Well,
but
that's
there's
great.
no one doing it like we are. A lot of people, I always think I took a picture, I posted a picture of my family out at the rink some night. It was just an awesome night, the black sky. And actually, my cousin's cousin up in Edmonton commented, he said, outdoor hockey, nothing like it. We don't even have much outdoor hockey up here anymore. So I think that a lot of the rest of the world, not entirely, but has gone inside,
Right.
and especially for the
Right.
association play. You see rink ratting and stuff in the cities and other places that can have ice, but you don't have scheduled games like we do right up into the squirt level. And personally, I think the last several years where more and more of these games outside, from the NHL on down, is awesome, because that's the roots of
Right.
hockey, and that's
That's
so
the way
it's
I
a little
grew up.
uncomfortable. Well, it's a rough sport,
Geez, I remember my days at Lower Chester. And
Oh, yeah.
I lived on 8th Avenue and
Yeah.
2nd.
Rip Williams.
And we would go to Lower Chester and play hockey till we were just gassed.
Right.
We couldn't skate.
Lower Chester and Central Field here.
And
Cathedral.
we wouldn't take our skates off. We would walk home with our skates on, but we would walk on the snowbanks to get home. And it was
Absolutely.
several blocks. But it's good to see that the state of hockey is doing well in Duluth. And this is a big deal. This is the 10th year that Hockey Day Minnesota will be played, and it's going to be played right here in Duluth. And the great thing is the coverage. Fox Sports North does fantastic coverage. They start their coverage at 9 a.m. and they go all day.
All day. One really cool, unique thing this year that they have, I don't think they've ever done in the past. Normally you have the high school games. You'd normally have the single A, the double A, and the girls game. This year, normally then they would kind of go to...
Gophers.
Yep, but they'd go to the desk at the Xcel Energy Center.
Right.
And usually the empty stadium there, because usually it's an away game. This year, the entire day will be broadcast from here. So while they'll have the Gopher game, they'll have the Wild game.
Right.
Those viewing audiences between periods and things like that, when they're kind of going back to the studio, that's going to be here. So all day long.
Will it be outside here?
I think they're going to have the table down by Bayfront, and they're going to be. By the way, there will be a UMD game that night as well down at the Xcel Energy Center. I'm sorry, at the Amsoil Arena.
Right.
So it is going to be.
Yeah.
That's a question I have. I mean, a lot of people ask me this. Why aren't they broadcasting the UMD CC game?
Yes.
Then instead of the Gopher Penn State game?
Yes.
Is it because they have a contract with
and I don't
the Gophers
know
on
that
Fox Sports North, or what?
we had the same question and, of course, desire. We would have loved to have seen that, and I think it kind of went down again with that condensed time frame. Perhaps that had already been determined that game was going to be on, but they'll be well aware that game's going right. It's just an amazing hockey day,
Right.
To use the name of it. But yeah, to have that audience, I mean, we all know how many people tune in for a Wild game, or that it's a large audience. Have them coming back with that lit bridge in the background, tremendous opportunity for our community.
Besides the hockey rink, is there going to be a lot of vendors and food and stuff like that at the game?
You got it. Yes.
And real cold, can they walk inside? And
Yep. There will be some areas that are heated, but bundle up.
Yep.
It'll be cold. If it's cold, we can't get everyone inside. It's not going to be an indoor viewing type of thing. But there's going to be food vendors, outdoor sports or sports related vendors, some hockey companies that have sticks and prints, and companies that sell to the hockey crowd, and really, really fun atmosphere down there. So.
Well, I wouldn't think parking would be too much of an issue with the UMD game being played later in the day, because the late game is 1 o'clock, so parking at the deck would be available?
The deck certainly be open to anyone who wants to park there. We'll have the Bayfront lot. We also have the lot that is just west of that. I call it a lot, but I think it's on the other side of that pier.
Any shuttles will set up?
I don't believe we have any shuttles, but people, just like they do for Dogs games, can kind of park by the depot and walk down Fifth. And I didn't want to forget, we will have a demo of a sled hockey game. In fact, the Minnesota Wild sled hockey team.
Oh, nice.
Which is, if folks have not seen sled hockey, it is an amazing thing to see. So it'll be the Wild sled hockey team. The time, I will have to check on that, but that is after these games are over.
Well, details can be found at DuluthHockey.com. Pat Heffernan, spokesperson for Hockey Day Minnesota Duluth, thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks for the interest,
Thank you,
guys.
Pat.
Yeah, great to be here.
And with that, we want to thank the staff at PACT-TV, where this program is produced, at the studios at PACT-TV. Minnesota Hockey Connection. You can find us online, MinnesotaHockeyConnection.com, and go to our Facebook page and like us on Facebook as well. And Jerry, and thank you, Pat, as well.
My pleasure.
We'll be back here.
We'll put up information on this on our website and our Facebook and Twitter.
We'll be back here next week to drop the puck. We'll see you then.